Bringing you everything from a presidential powwow to some weightless teachers, this is CNN Student News. First up, plans for a global summit to find a solution to worldwide financial struggles. It is essential that we work together because we're in this crisis together. That is what President Bush said on Saturday as he announced his plan to hold the summit meeting. Mr. Bush discussed the idea with European leaders at Camp David over the weekend, including French President Nicolas Sarkozy on the left. The White House said the initial meeting could take place after the November election. Since this financial crisis started, you've heard a lot of talk about how the struggles of Wall Street, that is the financial industry, are affecting Main Street or everyday Americans. Brooke Baldwin reports from the middle of this intersection.
Just 50 miles from this Wall Street is another Wall Street in Norwalk, Connecticut. Downtown Wall crosses Main, an emblematic intersection of America.
People are so desperate for jobs that you can't get what you're worth.
Jerry Giannino needs work. This former dental office manager has been unemployed for a year. And in that time, she says she has been forced to drastically change her spending habits. No new clothes, no eating out, no gifts for her grandkids.
I can't spend $4. I love you, but I can't spend $4. Not when I'm, worrying about paying the electric bill and the groceries.
Jerry is brainstorming job prospects in, ironically enough, Fat Cat Joe, a coffee shop on Wall Street. This mother of two believes the real fat cats are getting federal help, while Main Street America is still suffering.
For all of these bailouts and such to trickle down to the common Main Street guy, it's going to take quite a long time. And I think some people are underestimating how long it's going to take to straighten this situation out.
Everyone on this symbolic street corner is familiar with the financial crisis and the seesawing stock market. Here, where Wall meets Main Street, small businesses are wondering if the turmoil will hit them next.
Everybody's trying to make a living out here.
Gil Russo is known as the cheese guy. His mom and pop shop makes deliveries right here.
Being it the way it is where do you go? What do? You slow things down, you cut things back, and just try to make things work out whatever way you can.
Things are working out in Fat Cats, at least for now. This family-owned business is booming, but the store's owner knows that could change.
I don't care how good my business is doing. If the next 3 days nobody walks in, I'm in trouble. Doesn't matter what my last year's financial statement was. If people stop coming, you're in trouble.
People like Jerry Giannino, whose spirit, like the coffee, starts to percolate when she imagines the end is near.
I'm just hoping for a miracle.
A miracle at Main and Wall Street in the form of a job. Brooke Baldwin, CNN, Norwalk, Connecticut.
See if you can ID me. I'm a Middle Eastern country that was once part of the Ottoman Empire. I'm located between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Both the Tigris and Euphrates rivers flow through here. I'm Iraq, and I'm home to more than 28 million people.
97% of that population is Muslim. But Iraq is home to other religions too, and in the city of Mosul, 4 men were arrested last Friday for allegedly attacking civilians, particularly Christians. As Phil Black tells us, it's become a serious problem in that part of the country, one that's turned many Iraqi Christians into refugees.
Faced with threats and violence, much of Mosul's Christian community has fled. Relatives, friends, churches and monasteries in surrounding towns must now accommodate more than 8,000 people who have been driven from their homes. Most are now living off handouts from aid groups. We live peacefully and simply, this Christian man says. We were shocked with this trend of killing and forced displacement. I now have 14 displaced family members in my home, in addition to my children. We are all miserable now. Authorities say over the last 2 weeks, 14 Christians in Mosul have been killed, and many more threatened by Muslim extremists, demanding they convert, leave town, or pay an Islamic tax, seen by many as protection money.
This is a routine that we've seen by Al-Qaeda and terrorists here in Iraq, where they try to pit one group of people against another. And they start by killing some of that group and in hope of getting retaliation and starting the spool of sectarian violence.
Some believe the violence was triggered by a national political debate over the rights of minorities, including Christians. New legislation for upcoming provincial elections removed a quota system, guaranteeing representation for minorities in local government. Christians opposed the move strongly, with protests and rallies like this one in Baghdad.
Had spread all over the country.
Fawzi al-Hariri is a senior government minister and a Christian. He believes the violence proves minorities need greater protection in politics and in their homes.
We believe they have seen a weakness or a slowness in the military operation, the security operation to control, and Christians in Iraq has always been an easy, soft target.
The government says it's responded to the latest killings by increasing police and military patrols around Mosul's Christian neighbourhoods. Of the 1,400 families that fled, many have told us they're too scared to go home or tell their stories publicly because they still believe their lives are in danger. Phil Black, CNN, Baghdad.
Okay, last Friday we showed you how a Democratic candidate was using video games to reach voters. Over the weekend, a Republican candidate got some publicity on another medium, Saturday Night Live. Vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin, who's been impersonated several times in the comedy show, showed up to show off her sense of humor.
Thank you, and I must say your brother Stephen is my favorite Baldwin brother. I do want to take this opportunity to say, live from New York, it's Saturday night!
A word to the wise. Parabola. A geometrical shape consisting of a single bend and two lines going off in the distance.
Some teachers put themselves on a parabolic path recently, and they did it in the name of science. You see, if you send a plane around the bends of a parabola, the passengers shift from flying to floating. Reynolds Wolf launches into the details.
This group of 30 Georgia middle school teachers is learning firsthand what it's like to be weightless. Aboard the modified and heavily padded 727, there were games of Toss the Teacher and simulated Superman flights. But in between the fun and hilarity, the educators conducted experiments testing Newton's laws of motion.
It's working. I'm getting up and down acceleration with it.
The flight is courtesy of the Northrop Grumman Foundation. Northrop, an aerospace and defense company, hopes the experience of these teachers will inspire students to pursue careers in science, math, and engineering. Northrop Grumman says most of the teachers surveyed on past flights report their students became more excited about science.
It's important that they do this. Our country faces a significant shortage in the future of mathematicians, scientists, engineers, people in technology fields. So we've targeted their teachers to try to illustrate for their students how math and science can be cool and relevant and applied to their daily lives and just fun.
Fun for the teachers and yours truly.
Hi there, how you doing? You know, as a science teacher, you're told what all affects how you move, and that gravity is a great portion of that, that it's a whole nother thing to get up there and experience it. I would try things like, you know, I want to just like hover off the ground a little bit. Well, the problem is if you push off enough to get off of the ground, there's nothing to stop you, and you keep going until you hit the ceiling.
The plane uses the same technique that NASA uses to train astronauts. See, it flies a series of parabolas, or peaks and valleys, to create periods of weightlessness that last about 30 seconds. But each parabola also has a period of increased gravity.
We're experiencing 1.8 Gs, which is actually almost double your body weight. Right now, I feel like a heavy dude.
Now, a handful of teachers did experience motion sickness. But after all, they don't call the NASA training jet the Vomit Comet for nothing. But thankfully, most of the teachers were just fine.
I'm very proud of the fact that I will be able to show them my unused barf bag.
Nearly 1,000 teachers from California to Washington, D.C. have taken part in Northrop's zero-gravity flights, hoping at least that some of their students will flip over careers in science. Floating weightless, Reynolds Wolf, CNN, Atlanta.
And we don't want to regurgitate an old pun here, so we'll just say goodbye. I'm Carl Azuz.